Hi everyone, Teddy Baldessar with TeddyBaldessar.com. In this video, we're going to be looking at some new watches from Oris that have been, I would say, anticipated quite a bit by people that definitely like them, but also probably maybe shooed away by people that are not going to be in favor of these. So definitely some polarizing watches, but with the Oris Diver 65, the Cotton Candy editions. So in this video and on this channel, we cover watches available for purchase on TeddyBaldessar.com as an authorized dealer of all the brands that we carry. So in this video, we'll give some just general overview of these timepieces. The versions that I have here are more well-worn versions because these are bronze cases. So I wanted to give an actual real world type of just use case, not the press model kind of photo type of world where everything looks perfect. So we're gonna be going through the details of these watches and some things to consider. But at any point throughout this video, you wanna learn more, purchase these watches, link will be in the description, and you can also book a time with one of our dedicated watch specialists as well if you have any questions about these timepieces before purchasing. So guys, let's jump into the video and take a closer look at these new watches. If we were to identify the core pillars of the Oris brand, the Aquis, the Big Crown, and the Divers 65 all stand out. The Diver 65 though has quickly become popular with collectors and enthusiasts all over the world, and it's not difficult to see why. The collection has focused on the vintage design dive watches from the mid-1960s, which complements the more modern look of the Aquis models. As vintage-inspired watches have become more popular over the past several years, Oris hasn't just played it safe by using the same basic dial and case combinations. They've actually shown the willingness to take chances and experiment with different combinations of case metals and dial colors, including the use of bronze as a case and bracelet metal. After having successfully used bronze with their Carl Bashir limited edition as an example, as well as other limited edition pieces, Oris has rolled out bronze in a new series of collection pieces called the Cotton Candy Divers 65. There are 3 different pastel color dials, a pink, blue, and green. Today we're going to be focusing on a few different variants and giving you an idea of this new collection. Another important point as we're getting into this, when you saw the press photos of these, I think people were either very quick to jump in and say, I want those very quickly, or they were just ready to dismiss them right away. What I wanted to do with this review though, and just coverage of these pieces, is not just show a brand new piece. These are models that are actually, have been worn, thrown around the office quite a bit. So they're not just, these really nice brand new bronze editions. So you can kind of see how these will wear. So I wanted to use that as an example because I think a lot of people when they see bronze, they just don't, they might just be surprised when they first get their watch and start using it a bit more. So now let's first take a closer look at these watches on the wrist. Now first you're going to notice is, of course, the use of bronze for the case and the bracelet. Now the case is going to measure at 38 millimeters in diameter, 12.8 millimeters in its thickness, with some significant bolstering to that number with the dome sapphire crystal, and a compact lug-to-lug distance of just 45.7 millimeters in that length, giving it kind of the dimensions to fit on a small wrist as small as 15 centimeters or just under 6 inches in circumference, if not smaller than that. These are watches that from a dive watch perspective wear really well. I would say they wear a bit closer to that of a 37 millimeter case or true 38. It's right in the range there because this does have a thin external rotating bezel, but I can see a lot of people liking these and just how they're fitting on the wrist. These are definitely going to be considered unisex watches. I think these would look great. It is going to be a certain type of just personality trait that will allow you to kind of pull this one off. You kind of have to really own these pieces, but overall, all these pastel-y types of colors, they just look fantastic with those bronze cases. The interior surfaces of the lugs are brushed finish and the sides of the case are high polish. It's worth noting here that over time, the type of finishing again is going to become less and less distinguishable as the watch patinas. Having said that, the brushed finishing continues to the bracelet, which sits between 19 millimeter lugs all the way down to the folding 2-button release system on the clasp. The bracelet is going to heavily taper to really lend into that mid-20th century dive watch aesthetic. The clasp is secure when locking in that 2-button release. The internal part of the clasp is going to be made of stainless steel, so you get a little bit of different metal there. And then also when looking at the clasp on the side, you can see 5 points of micro adjustment. So there are no true half links. These are screwed in links in the bracelet, and you have a plethora of different sizing options here as all of them are featuring screws, which is very nice to see, but also having those small on the fly adjustments with a strap tool with those micro adjustment points is going to be helpful as well. As we transition back to the case, we have a standard crown placement at the 3 o'clock. Here you'll find an unguarded screw down crown, and that helps provide this watch 100 meters of water resistance, and to be considered an ISO certified dive watch, 100 meters of water resistance distance is that threshold that needs to be obtained. Now, Oris is not necessarily prescribing this particular version of the Diver 65 to be a true dive watch. In fact, they have some other watches that are going to be, of course, way more suitable for that particular task, but it is worth mentioning that Oris did in fact build these to be safely used in the water. Engaging the crown is going to be pretty straightforward. Unscrewing to the first position, you can hand wind. Extending to the second position, you can change that date, and at the fully extended crown, that will let you adjust the time with the help of hacking second hand as well, so you can stop that second hand to set that precise time. The bronze unidirectional bezel is a pleasure to engage. It's easy to rotate at that 120 clicks. There are numeral markings at each 10 minutes while having etched in or engraved in markers for every single minute to actually use this as a true elapsed time bezel. In addition, at the 12 o'clock position, there is a large triangular tip with a lume pip inside to help with orientation of this bezel when in the dark. The bezel is rather thin, again giving way to the large dome sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating on the underside, giving a just very clear view of these different pastel colored dials. Now, clearly, there are two reasons why somebody would be drawn to this watch. Or, I mean, you could say one would be the wearability of these because they do wear a bit smaller than the traditional, or split the difference between the 36 millimeters and the 40 millimeter and the 42 millimeter options from the Diver 65 family that we've seen in the past. But the other main reasons are going to be bronze and then that matching, or combination, I should say. I don't know about matching, but the look with these pastel color dials with those cases. They're incredibly striking, but also not so striking where it becomes a bit in your face. The smaller form factor of these cases, as well as these colors being of this pastel, more watered down look, allowing these to have the right amount of eye-catching nature without becoming overly ostentatious. Some might argue that point with me, but I don't think these really do just come off as being over the top gaudy when they especially patina quite a bit. Now let's talk a little bit about all of these in general and just kind of mark some of the differences in terms of what you're going for from the Diver 65 layout. All pretty traditional here, same handset, same raised applied markers with faux lume inside there. In this case, it really does match well with the bronze style cases with this faux lume, so I think it works better in this instance and also creating a little bit more separation and contrast from the dial layout itself. Also, you're getting a date window at the 6 o'clock, and then from there, just the writing of Oris and minimal dial text at the 6 o'clock. So pretty straightforward. In terms of the ones that are going to be the most eye-catching, I would say the blue is probably the most notable in terms of its actual just separation from the rest of the elements of the case as well as the dial. The green, I would say, is the most under the radar. It's more of a seafoam pastel style green, so this would probably be the most restrained. I see all of them being very unisex. Now, the pink, although not being the most popping of the color, of at least the shade of color used, I think the blue is a bit more prominent in its shade. The pink, though, as a color itself, is probably the most eye-catching overall. Seeing pink with the bronze case, this is just something you do not see very often. This is just straight fun. It looks, cotton candy. I think this would be probably the one that I would say is a true cotton candy with the blue. These are just really new creations for what Oris is going out, and they provide a certain type of mood and type of aesthetic that somebody would be going for, but quite frankly, really fun. As we flip the watch over, we'll see a stainless steel case back, which outside of the bracelet, screws, and the interior side of the clasp, it's the only time that Oris is going to use this metal. This is mostly done as just some additional benefit of ease of wearability and being an easier metal on the skin than bronze, because that case back is going to be probably the largest surface area where that bronze is going to be touching the skin. Etched into the center, you'll find the Oris logo, and hidden away beneath the case back is the Oris Caliber 733. Now this is, let's just be quite frank, a Sellita SW200, which is used throughout many companies' lineups of watches, but very reliable movements. This movement is truly a great alternative to the ETA 2824, except Oris, in terms of their output and what they're doing, they want that straightforward ability to go and get these movements as they are not a part of a Swatch Group structure. They're an independent brand, so in order to have the ability to deliver the amount of product they want, they need a consistent flow of getting these movements. Reliability, serviceability, best in class in terms of what you're going to be getting for a Sellita movement, but it is a pretty bare bones Sellita movement inside of here and what you're getting. You are going to have that updated modified rotor with that Oris red that has become synonymous when flipping around these watches and doing the case back. But in terms of operation, pretty straightforward. 28,800 vibrations per hour, 4 hertz. Does feature hacking and hand winding. Hacking stop in the second hand when you pull out the crown to the farthest position, and has a power reserve of 38 hours. All right, so now let's look at these Oris cotton candy models. Now, I don't think I have to even tell you guys that these are not going to be for everybody. These are going to be watches that you're either going to love or hate. Here's some circumstances where I see people maybe looking in the direction of these. For one, the wearability on these for a smaller wrist. Say you want a small wearing dive watch. These are great. These are great in terms of the sizing. I mean, they're going to wear closer to that of a 38 millimeter case, which is not too small for a dive watch, while also still not being too large. So for those with on the smaller end or spectrum of wrist sizes, I think these could be a good sweet spot. In addition to that, you're getting something that is pretty much unlike anything else, especially that blue and the pink version. Those are dive watches that are not going to look like anything else you're going to find in the market. But on the flip side, that might be for a reason, because these are not, again, going to be for everybody. There are going to be people that absolutely detest these in the comments. I'm just waiting for those comments, and I understand it because they are a bit different in what they're going for. Also, bronze as a material, again, another polarizing type of material. I think hopefully with this video, you're able to see how these kind of patina a bit when handling these over time. So we actually did make sure that we didn't want to just show some simple, brand new, out of the box, right from the factory floor type of model, because I don't think that's a honest representation of how these will age with weeks and weeks of wear. So final thoughts, the people that these are not for, anybody that looks at these and immediately say, no, I don't want to go anywhere near those. It's pretty obvious who these are not for. But who are these watches for? I can see this being a great couple watch, something that two partners could have fun with, given the size and the versatility there, or to somebody that wants a nice wearable watch with some fun, some splash of color, something that makes maybe a bit more of a statement while not crazy amount of announcing itself when you enter a room. That's really what these watches are for. And at the end of the day, watches are supposed to be fun, and there's no doubt that there's a lot of fun in these dials. All right, guys, well, thank you again so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, you found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell icon as you can stay up to date with the content. And that's a great way to help out the channel as well. In addition, though, if you are in the market for the watch, please check out the link in the description to TeddyBaldassar.com. We are a full authorized dealer of over 30 brands, full factory warranty with every single purchase, so you're completely covered for anything that you buy with that warranty. In addition, quick and fast fulfillment, dedicated customer support, and 9 out of every $10 that we generate goes right back into this content that we're creating here, as well as on our main channel. But guys, thank you again so much for watching. Be well, and I will see you all very soon.